If you didn't see the announcement trailer, there's a new AVGN game coming to the NES and modern systems, aptly named Angry Video Game Nerd 8-Bit. The team behind the game wanted to remake the Nerd Room for conventions and stuff, which was a pretty ambitious idea. Well, it all worked out. They put it all together and it went super well at this year's MAGFest, Music and Gaming. After the event, I thought it would be pretty cool to show how it came together and how this portable version of the Nerd's background wall was made. As I said already, there's a new game coming out. The NES version was created by the team at MegaCat Studios and published by Retroware. You might know a Retroware already. I played their modern retro games, Prison City and Iron Meat, on Neighbor Nerds with John. They published the deluxe version of the AVGN adventure games. The company is head up by Ryan and Justin, who you might have seen on the channel years ago. They mostly help me behind the scenes with the original games and merch nowadays, and we're all still friends. I was pretty happy the 8-Bit game was finally announced and we could show it to all the fans. I know people have been waiting since when we first announced it back in, December 2021. It kind of got put on the back burner, but it's likely coming out in the next several months. Anyway, the game got into the Indie Video Game Showcase at MAGFest, which gave the Retroware guys like a week to rebuild the nerd wall from scratch. Of course, because the booth is only 10 feet wide, it would just be the section behind the futon. The fun thing about this booth is it's basically the opposite of a typical game booth, where people walking by see the game you're playing. For this booth, it would look like you were sitting in the nerd room playing a game, like you were actually on the AVGN show. So first things first, you gotta know what you wanna make. The idea was the back wall you see from the camera's point of view on AVGN. So you need 8 feet of wall, the shelves, and all the games to put onto the shelves. Plus a futon and a big CRT TV to play the game on. Justin came to my place and measured the whole nerd room, the height of the ceiling, the width of the shelves, everything. Very detailed. I think he also took over 60 photos of the games because his idea was to print them in strips to keep the weight down and make it travel friendly. That's why it was done in 2 4-foot pieces as well that would be bolted together. With that step done and the measurements figured out, it was time for them to build a motherfucking wall. To build a wooden motherfucking wall, you need motherfucking wood. They got lumber to make a frame and old 70s style wood panels to attach to it. A heavy base had to be engineered for the back so the thing would stand upright without the threat of falling over accidentally. Ryan also used some steel cables to keep it all structurally sound. Considering the next step, I'm glad he did. Now that they had the motherfucking wall, it was shelf time, which meant planks of wood cut down the size. And those planks would need to be stained to be the right color. Mine are pretty dark. The shelves got put on with brackets, some which the guys had to paint. Once those were all screwed into place, some touch-up stain could be painted on to basically finish the wall section. Of course, this added a lot of weight to the front of the wall, but the base and cables kept it solid. I said previously that they wouldn't be using real games, mostly because of the weight and hassle. Well, all those things would have to be designed in Photoshop to fit the shelf measurements properly, using all those photos Justin took. He had to get the average height for things like Wii games, Saturn games, DVDs, and make sure the games fit into the right proportions. The entire thing was 8 feet long, so only the heights really matter. But still, every photo would just be a foot or so of games, so it all had to be stacked and layered and color corrected. Fun. Those got sent to a nearby sign shop to be printed on foam core. Joe from their team added a cut line around all the games so that they would have the proper 3D effect when on the shelf. The main issue was mounting the printed panels onto the shelves. The answer was those foam blocks used for floral displays, since you can kind of screw into them. It will be permanent enough for a convention weekend. Next up was the futon. Now, the original futon I bought over 20 years ago, so I can't even remember where I got it from. Justin found one that looked similar on Facebook Marketplace and scooped it up. It would have to be reassembled, but that wasn't really a big deal. What was a big deal was getting a decent mattress protector and new sheets for the thing, since hundreds of people would be sitting on it at the show. The heavy-ass CRT TV would have to sit on something too, so they went to Goodwill and found something that looked retro enough. Now, of course, it's not the same thing I have in the nerd room, but it looks the part. Having a cabinet area is great too, so it can store some gear and the actual NES that the game would play on. They also had a 19-inch Sanyo TV, so the people walking by could see what was being played. Now they had the wall pieces, the shelves, the games, the futon, the TV, the stand, a bunch of lights and power cords, and my favorite part, the skeleton behind the couch, which was a nice touch. All that crap would need to get loaded securely into their trailer and make its way down to MAGFest, about 170 miles from Philly. Once there, it got unloaded and rebuilt in the booth space. Here's Patrick from Retroware with the final set, and it looks pretty accurate. When you go up close, you can tell the games are just two-dimensional printouts, but from far away, it looks real. Makes me feel at home. Now, it was ready for the fans. And oh boy, did a lot of fans show up. And even my dad showed up. I had a lot of fun sneaking up on some of them. It made their day. Here's a little montage.
Hey, how's this game? What the fuck?
All good things must come to an end, and the booth got broken down and brought back to Philly for another show in the future. If I'm at a show on the East Coast, the booth will most likely be there. But yeah, the booth went really well. The games looked good, the fans enjoyed it, and I had a great time at the convention. My band Rex Viper had a concert that went great, and that long-awaited album is finally coming soon. But the best part was meeting all the fans and seeing them get excited for another AVGN game. And by the way, the booth gave out free Nintendo Power style posters, so you can get that online too. It's linked below, all you gotta do is pay shipping and handling on them. Lastly, help us out by wishlisting the game on Steam. Even if you're going to get it on Nintendo Switch or PlayStation or Xbox, the Steam wishlists are super helpful. And thanks to MegaCat Studios and Retroware for making another AVGN game. What were they thinking?